Hello friends, it's Nancy from Astrology and Angel Mediums today with a weekly check-in reading for the week of February 16th through February 22nd. I know it's a little bit late posting this. I decided to sleep in today. I had a very long work day yesterday and I'm very tired and still very out of it. I've been very, very busy. But I hope everyone is doing okay and taking care of themselves. So let's see what is up for us this week as a collective as we move from Aquarius season into Pisces. So, all right, what do we need to know as a collective? So here we have the Nine of Swords reversed. All right, what do we need to do as a collective? So here we have the World. All right, what do we need to contemplate as a collective? So here we have the Tower reversed. And then what do we need to release? This is what we need to release and then to contemplate. Sorry. And then what do we need to contemplate as a collective? So here we have the Two of Wands. I kind of feel like, I feel like maybe I pulled similar cards last week. So maybe we're still kind of taking a little bit of that energy from last week. And we do have, let's see, let's get an Elemental Empath card in here for some oracle guidance as well. So here we have Mindset, which I feel, again, I kind of feel like I've been pulling very similar cards the last couple of weeks, and maybe we're just not moving out of this energy, and so we need to kind of be aware of it. Or maybe I've been pulling it for readings that I've had for clients. So I also want to do a Sacred Symbols. Love me some Marcella. I love her deck. So let's see what we have here. As a collective, we have Shadow. Okay. I think we're ready. What do you guys think? So let's get into it. Let's hope the lighting isn't too bad here. You know what? Maybe I'll turn on this other little light just so we have a little bit of extra. I don't really think that helped. Okay. So what do we need to know as a collective? We have the Nine of Swords reverse. Now, to me, this card can really signify that maybe we're a little too focused on what hasn't really been working or what is not really coming together. And so maybe we're trying to kind of possibly ignore some of the things that are being highlighted at this time, whether that's some of the overthinking, the mental anxieties, the, just kind of being too stuck in our heads in different ways. And I think with the Nine of Swords is that it's usually a card that talks about our darkest fears. It talks about, being trapped in our mental anxieties, trapped in our nightmares, kind of the things that have been coming up that are maybe a little bit more challenging for us to mentally process. And so I think with the Nine of Swords reversed here is that maybe we're not really allowing ourselves to process some of these things that we're thinking about, or some of these things that are kind of heavy on our mind. I feel like anytime I kind of get a reverse card, that it can kind of be pointing to the previous card's energy. So with the Eight of Swords, that's usually about us feeling like we're at a little bit of a crossroads, being a little bit helpless and hopeless, not really understanding how truly powerful we are to break away from situations or circumstances that feel like they're a little bit overwhelming. So I think with the Nine of Swords, what we need to know is that maybe it doesn't have to be as bad as we may be afraid to think that it may be, if that makes sense. I know for a lot of us, we can kind of focus too much on the catastrophe or too much on the challenges and the difficulties. And so there may be a lot of this kind of mentally blocked, mentally stuck sort of energy that can feel in a lot of ways very overwhelming, as though we don't really know how to kind of come together and ask for help and not feel like the burden always has to be ours to carry. So a lot of this stuff may be just kind of floating around in there, and maybe we're ignoring it, maybe we're not processing it, maybe we're not understanding that it's okay to ask for help. It's okay for us to kind of reach out and find the people that can really truly help us kind of move through things. And maybe we're not quite as helpless and as hopeless as we may feel at the current moment. So I think collectively, a lot of us are kind of feeling a lot of like this pressure from this energy, maybe feeling a little bit stuck in certain patterns, and maybe feeling like things are not really moving the way that we would like for them to. So moving on to what we need to do is here we have the world. Now, the world is essentially like the culmination of all of our hard work coming to a like ending point. It's almost saying like, hey, you just have to kind of embrace the things that are shifting, embrace the things that are changing. So this week may feel like there's some monumental things that are finally coming together. Maybe we feel like we're finally at the end of something, whether that is, really understanding that we're kind of moving out of certain stuck energies. Maybe there's some clarity that we're finally starting to see much more broadly than we have been previously. I think with the world, it's also like really a reminder of the opportunity that we have to really show up as authentically as ourselves. Now, I know that's not a traditional, kind of meaning or interpretation of the world card, but to me, I kind of feel like, especially given that we have this 9 of Swords reverse energy where we kind of feel a little bit mentally stuck, maybe we're feeling a little bit like afraid to really process like how we really feel about certain things. The world is kind of telling us like, how do we embrace things? How are we showing up? What is it that maybe we have forgotten to kind of celebrate within ourselves? Because it's a reminder of everything that we've overcome, everything that we have, put so much effort into, everything that maybe is ready for us to kind of explore in some new ways. So I think the world is kind of here saying like, hey, this is the balance of all of the different elements. It's interesting because the world usually depicts different like heads, but it is ruling over fixed signs. So Aquarius, Scorpio, Taurus, and Leo. And so it has this very stabilizing sort of energy. And I think that's kind of the reminder here, is that as much as we may feel like things are not really going the way that we had anticipated, or that maybe we've kind of lost some of our footing where we are currently at, this is almost saying like, you haven't. Just really remain fixed in your intentions, in what it is that you want, what it is that you're doing. Because again, this is like what we need to do, right? Is to kind of focus on where is the steadiness in our lives? Where is the consistency? Where are we really focusing our energy and showing up in that energy so that we can really move into like the next thing? So right now we may just feel like things are a little bit out of our hands in some ways, but the world card is kind of saying like, let's focus on what we can control, what can we embrace, and how can we really show up for everything that we've accomplished and all of our hard work and dedication. Now, next to that, we have what we need to release. So here we have the Tower reversed. Now, I know the Tower is one of these cards that kind of gets a little bit of a bad rap, and I get it. It's a hard card. I'm not saying that it is easy, but the Tower is also an invitation to understand what needs to break away. What is it that maybe has been crumbling, but we are, trying to just continuously utilize as our foundation. So with what we need to release is maybe the sense of feeling a little bit bound or stuck in certain situations, maybe feeling like, oh, everything has to be, brought down to like level in order for us to begin again. And I think the Tower here is kind of saying, okay, maybe not everything needs to be destroyed in order for it to become new once more. Maybe there is something that can be salvaged here. Maybe there is something that is still something worthy of building upon. So while there may not be so much of this sense of like rebuilding from where we are, I do think that what we need to release is a sense of, oh, it has to be, again, kind of completely leveled for me to kind of start over. Maybe the Tower reversed here is a reminder that there are some things here that maybe you're learning, some things that are still valuable as you kind of move into this energy moving forward. And so it can feel a little bit like, how can I show up for myself? Maybe feeling like you don't really have as solid of a foundation as you once thought. maybe we need to kind of release a sense of like it's all up to us as individuals, and maybe we need to kind of say, all right, what's actually going on as a collective? What's actually going on like in the best way possible for us to really come together and really figure out what this means for us moving forward. Like, as much as it may feel like a lot of things are out of our control or out of our hands, and as much as we may feel collectively like it's just very heavy, stagnant, kind of like hard energy, the Tower reversed is kind of saying like we got to kind of let go of this sense of trying to control everything and trying to feel like maybe we know what's best. Because again, we kind of look at what the energy of the previous card, which would be the Devil, would be, is that maybe we're too stuck on the things that we've been doing and what that means for us as a collective, what that means for us long term. And so there may be a little bit of like this kind of back and forth sort of energy that feels a little bit out of sync for us at the current moment, especially with having like the world kind of saying like, hey, we have to look at like what we have stabilized, what we fixed, what we have done. And then maybe we need to kind of release the sense of like, we got to burn it all to the ground and start over. Or, you know, there may be this sense of there's a lot of stuff that's out of our control, but that doesn't mean that it's not happening as it should, or that things should not be coming together the way that they're supposed to. There's a lot of weird energy out there. I'm not going to lie. The last few months I feel just are very like weird, and that may be like just Mars being in Cancer, like Mars retrograde. Now we're about to have Venus retrograde. There is a lot of this just weird kind of energy where we may feel like a lot of the things that we value, the things that we want, our sense of aggression, our sense of who we are and how we're showing up in this world. A lot of that foundation has maybe changed, and maybe we feel like a lot of it is like, well, now that I'm here, I'm not really dealing with things the way that I thought I was going to. Or now that I'm kind of confronted with certain aspects and elements of this, I'm starting to see what's happening with this and like how different I am reacting to a lot of these things. And so maybe we just need to give ourselves a little bit more grace and not be so stuck on trying to do things in the ways that we're like, this is the most right, or this is how it has to be. Now, with what we need to contemplate is the Two of Wands. Now, this is almost saying like we need to make a strategy. We need to make a plan. We need to kind of start kind of bringing the things that we are passionate about, the things that are kind of driving us, the things that are kind of giving us a sense of like momentum and movement, and start making choices towards what that will look like for us moving forward, especially as we feel like things are kind of unsettled or not really shifting or giving us an opportunity to really like start the way that we want to. And maybe we feel like I'm just trying to like take it as it is. I'm trying not to be too much in my head about stuff. This is kind of saying like, okay, what can we effectively do right now? How can we make a plan? How can we co-create in a way that is a little bit better, that feels a little bit more aligned and in sync for us as individuals? So I think that this is really kind of saying like, we got to take the things that we're wishing for, the things that we desire, the things that kind of light us up right now, and make an active strategy. This is also a very creative energy. So this is a great time to create in some way, shape, or form, whether that is like with content, whether that is like physically creating things, whether that is like, you know, just showing up for yourself in the sense of paying attention to what is calling to you, like where you feel led to, where you feel called to at this time. I think the Two of Wands is also an invitation to kind of understand that we can bring things better into balance for ourselves. And as far as this being like what we need to contemplate is that maybe we've forgotten how truly powerful we are as individuals, and what that means as a collective, if that makes sense. So we're all just kind of showing up authentically, showing up in things that like we love, showing up, you know, in harmony, and making choices to kind of show up for our community in different ways. It will make a lot of this other energy that feels very heavy or very stagnant move in a way that feels a little bit more in alignment with what it is that we really desire and what it is that we really prioritize and value. I think the Two of Wands is also a reminder that even if things feel like they're way out of our control, or, you know, that we don't really know where this is leading, because I think with the Tower, that's kind of the energy typically, is that something happens, it's unexpected, it's going to feel very much like I don't know where this is going to lead. I don't really know how this is going to end up. And I think the Two of Wands is saying, okay, so you make a plan for what you know. You make a plan for where you're at. You make a plan with what you have at the current moment, even if it doesn't feel like it's the full picture, even if it's not all of the information. Maybe this is an opportunity to kind of like follow through on that momentum and follow through on the energy of, I want to co-create something with the universe that feels better in alignment with what I want and what I need. So those are our tarot cards for the week. I'm going to talk about the oracle cards that I pulled. The first one I got is Mindset, which is about creating your reality, working with your subconscious, befriending your mind. It's like what it sounds like. Maybe a lot of us are very stuck in negative thinking, negative patterns, negative, maybe like letting our anxiety kind of take off and do its own thing. It's kind of destroying us in some ways. It can feel very much like, I don't know what's going to happen with us. I don't know where this is going. And I think it's interesting that I also got the shadow card, because it's almost like saying like the shadow is not so much about us like feeling like we have to befriend this and we have to like really focus on this or whatever. Maybe the shadow is more of the things that we feel are kind of looming over us right now, whether that is like the things that we're afraid of, the things that we fear, our own personal kind of like kicking our own butt sort of energy that maybe we tend to have at times. I think shadow is here to kind of remind us like we get to choose how we show up. We get to choose what we do with the things that are within our scope, right? Within our wheelhouse, so to speak. Like, what is it within you that maybe needs to shift? Whether that is some of the ways that you're thinking, some of the fears that are coming up, some of the limitations that you're placing upon yourself that maybe aren't really the truth of the situation. And I think shadow is also a reminder of like, what are things that are coming up that maybe you're ready to confront, so that it's not this big scary monster. It's more of this realization of, I've been keeping myself limited in some ways because I thought it was going to be this really big thing that I have to deal with. When in actuality, I have all of the tools at my disposal and everything that I need in order for me to confront the things that are coming up. And I can make a strategy that feels in alignment for myself. And that is also going to be really very much reflected by mindset. Where is your mind going right now? Like, what is it that you're focusing on? What are you doing to either combat some of these heavier energies or some of these limitations that you're placing on yourself or some of these mental anxieties? It's going to be very much about mindset, so that you can really move into the energy of the world and just embracing things, even if there's changes that are unexpected. It's about learning how to essentially pivot and make a strategy for, okay, knowing what I know now, I know what I need to do with what I've been given. So I think mindset is also a reminder that we need to be more aware of what stories are we telling ourselves? What sort of things are in our subconscious? What sort of things have we been carrying that maybe no longer make sense as far as like what we're capable of being able to achieve and what we're capable of doing? The thing with mindset is that we get to choose how we use it, right? We are the ones that are in the driver's seat here. We can say, with my mind and with my belief in myself, I am capable of doing really great things, or really just regular things, or really just bad things, I guess, if we want to look at it that way. It's really about how we view ourselves and what we're ready to kind of achieve with what we believe within ourselves. So I think shadow is kind of saying like, all right, there's some stuff here that's kind of blocking your mindset and it's not allowing you to really see the potential that's coming your way. So maybe it's time to kind of befriend your mind and kind of work through understanding these monsters inside of yourself, these little mental things that have been swirling around that maybe feel very scary and overwhelming and can feel very much like, what am I doing wrong? Or what have I, not accomplished, or whatever, things of that nature, that maybe it's kind of saying that we got to deal with this stuff because it's blocking us from being able to really embrace the things that are trying to happen for us, so that we can really make a plan and strategize what it is that we really need for ourselves long term. So I hope this makes sense. I think a lot of us are going to be kind of overthinking a little bit this week. I really hope that this week finds you well and that you take it easy. Please take care of yourself. And as always, make good choices. Bye.